Hello guys, it's Korah here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to give you guys a full review and a full guide on how to play the mouse like a pro. And the mouse, actually, a cool fact about it is that I think it's overall the highest win rate tank for the average player. So that basically means if you take like a random player and you put him in any tank, the mouse is going to be the tank that he performs the best in general. I think the average win rate for mouse players is like 55% win rate, which is way above average anyways. So overall, it's actually a very strong tank. It does have its limitations though, which I will cover, but it also has a lot of strength as well, which I will cover as well in this guide. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, first thing I want to go over right away here is the consumables. Again, mouse, no surprise at all, should be double repair kit and adrenaline. Speed boost is going to be absolutely useless because you don't go fast anyways. Now, moving on to provisions here, chocolate 100%, you got to use it. 10% food, very important. The one thing you got to make sure you do use it is sandbag armor, and that will add an extra 6% HP to your tank, which is actually huge, especially if you consider the fact that the mouse has almost 3,000 hit points. So extra 171 hit points is actually like really nice. And then the last provision I'm going to actually use here is the improved fuel. Now, I did mention earlier the mouse is pretty slow, so the engine power doesn't really matter, the 10% there, but the one thing that does matter with the fuel here is actually the 10% turret, and that is actually very underrated, extremely important. 10% turret rate will help you angle your tank very effectively. It will help you turn your turret faster as well, especially since you have like pretty slow turret traverse anyways. But that extra 10% will make a huge difference. This is probably like the most underrated provision, in the game essentially on the mouse. I think is super important. So make sure you guys are running this one. When it comes to ammo, nothing too special. You get tons of ammo anyways. I do load a good number of HE shells, although to be honest, you don't really need them for the most part. But the one thing you got to keep in mind though is the APCR here. Mouse does have APCR as its premium ammo, which is not the best thing ever, but it does get the job done. To be honest, the mouse APCR, I think for some reason I prefer it over like a lot of the other like types of APCR. But at the end of the day, it's still APCR, so it's not really the best thing ever. It does have AP standard though, which is really nice. This is what you're going to most likely be firing like most of the time. It's a very good shell overall, and you have fantastic DPM with the mouse. Now, moving on to our equipment here, and speaking of DPM, a mouse again has APCR as its premium, so for me there's no point to run calibrated because calibrated only gives you plus 5% APCR pen. There's nothing you're going to really be able to pen with that extra 5% that you weren't able to pen before, so there's not worth it. I just run rammer, try to maximize my DPM, and speaking of DPM, you get 2684 DPM, so that's actually very strong, especially if you consider that it's a tank with 3000 hit points. So having high DPM while you have 3000 hit points is actually a very big advantage. So overall, it's a good way to use a mouse. Everything else, I'm using defense system, improved optics, supercharged, and then enhanced armor. Now, enhanced armor, this one's a bit, you can kind of pick whichever one you like, but I did play in the videos I'm about to show you here, guys. I did actually play with the improved assembly and the enhanced armor, so I tried both of them out to try to figure out which one was better, and my conclusion, to be honest with that, the enhanced armor was actually worth it. So if I were you, I would run this armor here. To be honest, it does help a lot, especially if low penetration guns are trying to pen you, especially medium tanks or something. A lot of mediums can actually pen you pretty easily if you don't have the enhanced armor there, so I would highly recommend using that. Another very important equipment that you guys need to use here is improved control. This is probably the most important one. Again, this one will allow you to turn faster, and turning is huge, especially in a tank that relies 100% on its angling and its armor, right? You're going to be able to turn, you're going to be able to use those massive track wheels, because those absorb a lot of shots. Like a lot of times people aim for your lower plate, and if you turn slightly like fast enough, it's going to end up like absorbing the shot into the track. So turn rate is very important. Highly recommend this one. Probably the most important equipment in the entire thing here. Everything else is pretty standard. Refined gun, toolbox, and high-end consumable. Nothing too special there. Now, moving on, I do want to show you guys a bit more on the angling. Now, the mouse as a tank in general is, first of all, the turret is a massive weak spot. You have these two turret cheeks there that are super weak, and you have just like lower plate here as well. I will show you guys a video in the training room. It will be a full, it'll be a quick guide on like how to angle and stuff, and how to counter a mouse, and also how to prevent people from countering you. So stay tuned for that one, and let's get right to it. Alright guys, so here we are in a mouse 1v1 room. Now, I did tell a climber on the enemy team here to take a mouse. I'm not really going to test a whole lot the armor on the other tanks, but for what I want to show you here, it's a mouse 1v1. Now, as you guys know, mouse APCR, again, it does not have the highest pen ever, but you can see how easy the lower plate is pennable at this angle if he's facing me frontally. Now, right now, I'm going to try to drive up to him, even with AP, actually, I think if I switch to AP, I'll be able to pen it. You can see it's a little gray there, but it does actually pen. So lower plate, you always need to keep that angle at any cost, basically, whenever you're in a mouse face hug. Now, next shot here, I'm going to aim at the cheek. Again, you can see the cheek. Even though he's angling his turret, it's not enough. The mouse, I am actually going to still be able to pen this shot here. You can see APCR, it still pens. So he needs to turn, there we go. Now it's red enough where it won't pen. So this is a kind of the angle that you need to be at to avoid getting penned in the turret. Which, you know, you can see right there, it's unpennable. You can do bounce the shot even with APCR. One thing I want to show you as well, guys, pay attention to the cheeks here. You see how like the right cheek is way bigger than the left cheek? Again, that's just something to keep in mind whenever you're side scraping. Try to keep that in mind. Try to avoid showing your right cheek as much as the left one. The left one is definitely the easy one. Now, another thing I want to show you here as well is the mouse upper plate here. Mouse upper plate, although it's very strong, in a face hug against a tall tank, you see how easy it is for me to pen that? It's because I'm using gun depression to shoot down on his upper plate. So basically all that armor isn't very angled, so it's very easy for me to pen. So if he angles a little bit more toward the left here, it completely becomes red. And you can see his turret now is a little bit gray. I'm able to actually pen the side of the turret. Now if he angles like this, you know, now I'm not able to pen the cheek. But if he turns it a little bit more, there we go. That's the perfect armor. But now the only part I can pen is that little like gray line right there where I just shot. That's the only thing I can pen. Other than that, the entire mouse is fully red. The lower plate is red, the upper plate is red, and the turret is red as well. So in this situation, just keep, this is like the ideal mouse angle that you want to be at. Now if I back up a little bit, one thing as well I want to show you guys is HE. Mouse actually, even though it's technically a German super heavy, HE does a lot of damage on the mouse. If you shoot the turret directly where I'm aiming at right now, the HE will actually splash down onto the engine deck and deal a lot of damage. You can see how his fuel tank is getting like you know, the modules, and also the engine got damaged earlier. So just keep that in mind. HE does do a lot of damage if you shoot the turret and it splashes down. It's kind of the same thing with the VK90 actually as well. So it is just something to keep in mind with the mouse. So you're not, even if you're like fully angled and the enemy cannot pen you, or if you run into a mouse that's fully angled and the enemy cannot, like, and you can't pen them, just aim at the, you know, the turret and try to splash down the HE onto the engine. No matter what angle they're at, it will always do damage. So and you could saw there, like even with the 460 alpha gun, my HE, you know, even though I got a max roll, it does around like 200 average, slightly, you know, somewhere around there. So 200 HE for a mouse is quite a bit. So that's something you gotta also kind of keep in mind as well, that your tank is not very HE resistant, even though it is a German super heavy. Alrighty, so now that we went over the angles, I think that's like the main part of the mouse that you guys have to pay attention is the angling. The mouse is 100% dependent on angling. It's not really a tank that you can just, you know, use like haul down or anything like that. It depends 100% on angling. You saw how easy it was there for me to pen the enemy mouse, and so once he started angling, then it makes my life a lot more difficult. So when you guys are playing a mouse, try to angle the same way he was. Again, that like 45-degree angle, I think, for your turret and your hull is a pretty good, you know, like measure, I guess, of like the best angle you can find yourself in. But other than that, mouse, a couple things, I'm going to get into the replays here in a sec, but a couple things I want you guys to understand is, again, mouse is a very limited tank. You have to use the mouse on flat ground, behind buildings, and also, you know, like side scraping it. You know, that's the only way the mouse is actually a useful tank. Apart from that, you know, is very difficult to, I mean, you can always use your hit points, the 3,000 hit points that you have, and just like push in with it. That also works. It's a perfect way of playing the mouse too. But if it ends up being a slow game where you cannot just YOLO in like that, and you know the enemy has a bunch of tank destroyers and stuff, side scraping is gonna be your best friend. So make sure you guys are trying to side scrape as much as you can with the mouse. Do not try to, you know, play hull down or whatever. Again, your turret has massive weak spots on each of the cheeks here, so just be aware of that. But without further ado, let's get right into the games here. I have a lot of good games to show you guys. However, just one quick reminder, if you guys are not subscribed already, make sure you guys subscribe, and if you guys enjoy this kind of review and this kind of guide, make sure you guys smash that like button as well. But without further ado, let's get right to it. Alright guys, so as you can see, we're in the mouse here, and we're playing the map Alpenstadt. Now, if you know Alpenstadt, you know that there's two very distinct parts of the map. You have the A side, which is the medium side, and you have the heavy side, which is the town side. Now, in a super heavy mouse, like I am in here, I'm not really going to be able to go towards the A side, and so the only bet I have is to go towards town. Now, even if my team doesn't go town with me, which right now, based on the minimap, kind of seems like that's the case. It seems like a lot of them are going toward the A side. I still am kind of forced to go town because I know I'm very slow, and there's no way I'm really going to be useful on the A side at all. So I'm going to try to play town here. Now, I'm going to head towards the middle of the town here. Now, I know if they come town, then at least I'll have the reverse speed to back up. And if they don't, then it means I can push forward and get behind them. So that's what we're going to do here. Now, we can tell that the AMX here just crossed towards C. He's playing super aggressive, so we kind of know that this guy is a free kill for us if their team doesn't go town. But Yo gets spotted, another WZ gets spotted as well, so now we have info on forward tanks where they are, so we know that their team is actually mostly stacked in town. Now we're going to try to angle away from that AMX. He does kind of get dependent to us, but overall, good trade for us. You know, in a mouse, you're supposed to be using your HP to trade, and you know, we have 3,000 hit points to do that. So overall, it's a very good trade for us. And yeah, we're going to continue doing the same thing. So we're going to try to peek again to AMX here, look where he is. Now I do kind of notice that WZ is there, so I'm going to try to see if I can shoot him. And there we go. Surprise, surprise. Yag is just unspotted sitting there. We kind of get lucky that the fact that he, you know, shot us and he bounced, we were able to back away just in time. But the thing about the mouse is that mouse actually has like really good DPM, guys. It's like 10-second, you know, reload basically. So we know we're gonna get another shot into this Yag here. No problem at all. We know we're gonna get it, and we do get the 2 shots in. So overall, good trade again for us. We've done a lot of damage. Now this Yag isn't really getting us away, like letting us get away with that. But he's not really going to get away with it either. So every time he shoots me, I can basically shoot him twice. That's how my reload works. I have a 10-second reload. He has a 15-second reload. So I'm going to shoot him again here another time. Now somebody else shoots him from behind, so he becomes a one-shot. And we've gotten rid of the Egg, which is really the biggest threat we have. He's the one guy who has like the most penetration, that no matter how much we angle, he still can be able to pen us pretty easily. Now, Tortoise here is another tank that we're fighting. Now, Tortoise, on the other hand, does not have the penetration that the Yag does. So, as long as we're angling our track away from him, our lower plate, and our turret a little bit as well. To be honest, he should be able to pen my turret here, but for some reason, he's just aiming at my track. Obviously, you can tell this guy's not really the most experienced player here, but we're going to get some free damage off of him. Now, again, we've got a couple shots off him already, and this guy, you know, don't really know what his goal is. He's kind of just tracking me over and over again, but it doesn't really make a big difference. I mean, he's losing the trade in general, and he's a one-shot now. So overall, good situation for us. Now my priority here is kind of the Progetto, although yeah, I'm gonna try to go for the Tortoise there, but the Progetto is the guy I'm mostly worried about at the time here. We do miss a shot there. Now mouse gun, to be honest, is not the most accurate, you know, and my teammate dies behind me. So now this game went from like a really easy game to a game that we could actually very easily lose here, because it's like it's a 2v2 and I'm a mouse and there's a Progetto that I basically cannot catch. Now, we do get a little lucky there. We do set him on fire at the back of the turret with the HE shot. The only thing I don't, like, you know, the only way to explain the fire, I guess, is that the splash damage from the HE, like, went down into his engine and caused him to catch on fire that way. Other than that, I don't really know, to be honest, how he catches on fire from the side of the turret. Like, there shouldn't be any fuel tanks there, you know? But, yeah, anyway, so we're in a pretty decent situation here, although not 100% the best situation. Now, we can kind of tell that this Waffle on my team here isn't really the best player. So what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to completely ignore the Progetto. Now, Progetto's a one-shot, which, you know, usually you try to focus a one-shot, but since he's a medium tank that I really cannot catch no matter what, I'm going to focus my attention on a tank that I can catch, and that is the E100 here. And E100, you know, he's not going to be able to run away from me if I chase him. So that is where my attention is going here. So no matter what, even if the Progetto gets spotted, I'm still going to go for the E100 here. The only way I would ever go for the Progetto is if he makes a mistake and gets a little too close to me here. And so now E100, we got a nice shot into the engine deck of the E100 there. And here the Progetto finally makes a move, and we're going to punish him for it. Now, we shift our attention from the E100 to the Progetto, because obviously the Progetto is the more dangerous target. You know, Progetto is the one that can really, like, cause us problems, because he's a medium tank, he's faster than me, and he can run away and win the game by caps, right? So we got the Progetto out, and now E100 is stuck in a 1v1 with us, and we're able to kill him as well, and a nice face hug there. So yeah, overall, very nice game. I think, yeah, 6.5K game there. We also did get the mastery too, so overall it was a really good game. We got almost 5K damage blocked as well, so this is a really nice game to show kind of how to play the mouse on. You know, the mouse is like really a trading tank, but you also have to be smart with your trades. You cannot just like YOLO in and push in and get nuked. You know, you kind of have to let people push you, and then you kind of punish them for pushing you, right? So that's kind of how we played that game. And at the end there as well, going for the E100 was definitely the right play. You know, a lot of people usually, I think, would go for the Progetto to try to get him out of the game, you know, because he's a one-shot medium tank. He's a threatening one, right? But sometimes you kind of have to accept that, okay, I'm not going to be able to catch this guy. Let's focus on the guy that we can't catch. Alrighty, moving on to our second replay here. We have another very, very good map for the mouse. Now, mouse typically excels on maps that are just flat, and, you know, basically somewhere where there's a lot of buildings where you can side scrape off. Basically any kind of town setting, a mouse will do very, very well in. Now, mouse, you know, in Dynasty is basically like the best possible map for the mouse. It's a very small map, which means you don't really have to worry about mediums outspotting you. And at the same time, you know, you have a lot of buildings around you, which you can side scrape off, and you know, you can really just use your you know, the tank's armor to its greatest potential, basically, in a map like this. So what we're going to do here, we do see the majority of our team going towards the med side. Now, I kind of get the feeling, like once they cap A here, I start to get the feeling they kind of went towards A, because, you know, I don't know why they're playing A so aggressively, unless their entire team's going to go A. So what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to try to move up a little bit, see if I can find any shots into, you know, anybody near A cap or near the middle. Now, we do see a Hori, and Mouse, being a very, very tall tank, is actually able to shoot over top of that middle, like, pillar area there, the ramp in the middle there. So we get a nice shot into the Hori, but immediately our Progetto decides to get, you know, a little aggressive, and he starts getting YOLO'd by the enemy Batchat. Now, this Progetto here is basically as good as dead. I know he's going to die at any point. I'm just trying to farm as much damage as I can off of him before he dies. Batchat here makes a little bit of a misplay. He does go forward, gives me a little bit of a shot. But overall, we've basically lost a Progetto for decently, like, for free, basically. Even though Batchat is a one-shot. So we did kind of trade a little bit, but not that much. Anyway, the mouse in this situation, the one thing I want to highlight is this is exactly the situation you want to find the mouse in. The mouse is perfect for absorbing pushes like this. Now you can see 40 enemy players here are pushing our spawn, and guess what? They're heading straight towards me. That is exactly what you want to do in a mouse. You want the enemy to start pushing you. Here comes a 5th player. Again, perfect setup. They have 5 players basically pushing me. And I'm just absorbing all of the attention. That's exactly how you want to play the mouse. This is like, you know, mouse heaven, basically, if you think about it. Because like you see here, they're all wasting their time. They're not able to like even pen me that much if I'm angling correctly. And the mouse has good enough DPM that you can actually trade the majority of the people that are penning you. So the DPM on the mouse here is being used to its greatest effect. Again, I'm shooting on reload, basically. I'm not like having to look for any shots. Everyone's just pushing me. Again, no one's really able to pen me. We've only taken, I think, 1 shot of damage this entire game so far. So overall, we're doing really well damage-wise. And my team is also, you know, even though it's a 5v5, this is not going to be a close game whatsoever. You can tell right here that, you know, even like look how far the VK drove up, and even then he's still not penning me. Yeah, VK is probably not the best player ever, but still, you know, the majority of people are not going to be able to pen you very much. And especially if you angle properly, which, you know, is kind of like what I'm doing right now. You do have massive track wheels on swell, like in front of the mouse there, so a lot of the shots that people try to hit on your lower plate there, you know, you have a little bit of a lower plate, a lot of those shots that people are going to aim there is going to end up being absorbed by the tracks. Here we go, we have a max roll here. Hopefully we can get it for the, there we go, we did get the max roll, 575. Very, very nice game, and a very short game, you know, like, but you know, you can see how useful the mouse can be when you have like a lot of people pushing into you. You know, that's what you want in the mouse. You want people to push into you while you're able to side scrape, while you're on flat ground. You know, that's how you can use the mouse to its greatest potential, and this is a perfect example of how to do it. Now we did do 5.4k damage here, 12 shots fired, 12 shots pen. Very nice pen ratio there. And in the same time, you know, you can, I think we got a first class for that. Yeah, so not quite a mastery, but, you know, still a pretty good game. 3.4k damage blocked, guys. See this damage blocked here. This is a very important stat for the mouse that you guys need to pay attention to. Whenever you guys are playing the mouse, the more damage blocked, the better for you. And in this situation, it was a perfect scenario. Like, enemy team pushed straight into me, and I was able to use my hit points to, you know, my greatest advantage. And even then, they weren't really able to pen me. I was super healthy at the end of the game too. So very, very good example of how to play the mouse in this game. Alrighty guys, we are on the map Mines here. Now, the first couple maps I had for you guys in the replays was Alpenstadt and Dynasty, and those two maps were pretty favorable for the mouse because you had a big, like, large town area that you could use to basically side scrape. Mines, on the other hand, is no such map. You have the middle of the map, which is, to be honest, hugely important, and then you have a very, very small town area in the far right here. So, to be honest, most of the time I would go towards the middle, but since I'm in a mouse and the mouse has huge weak spots on the turret, you know, like the cheeks on the turret are big weak spots, I don't have the most gun depression, and I also don't really have, you know, a high penetration gun, so I'm not really able to trade that well against hull down heavy tanks. So for that exact reason, instead of going towards the middle, I'm actually going to go towards the, you know, the town area, and I'm going to just play straight up to cap the base. It seems like the most noob thing ever, to be honest, to, you know, cap the base in for a second in the game. But on a map like Mines, to be honest, the map is just so horribly designed that you kind of have to do this if you're in any kind of super heavy without a turret. Same thing with the E100. Again, you're not really going to be able to play in the middle, you know, if you have a, you know, big, massive weak spot, huge profile, like in the middle of the map there. And our mediums are, to be honest, going to suffer a little bit because of this, but they do end up playing this game pretty well. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to cap the base. I'm trying to put some cap pressure. And meanwhile, I'm trying to farm their tank destroyers while I'm doing that. We're aiming at the 268. We get a nice shot into his cheek there. We put 2 shots so far, one in the Hori and one in the 268, and we're just capping base. We're at 40 cap points. Again, the goal with me capping here is not to really win the game by caps. I don't really want to do that. What I want to do is basically change the games, like, you know, like the way the game is going. Everyone's fighting in the middle. They're all held down. I want to change that from a hull down fight to them coming into me and on my own terms, basically in a setting where my tank could be the most effective, and that is in the town. So I'm trying to bait the enemy team to come towards me in the town to try to reset the base. That's exactly what I'm doing. We're at 70 caps here, and we're still farming, you know, the tanks that are on the 2D area. Our Rhinoceronte does kind of move a little too far forward and does die there, but overall we've traded pretty well. We've basically bled 2 of their tank destroyers to a one-shot, and their tier 9, you know, light tank is essentially in a pretty horrible situation. So we're going to try to aim in on him. We get a nice shot there, 570, just basically a max roll there. And right away we see the I7 drop. The second the I7 drop, I was already at 95, you know, base caps, and at the same time, again, like I said, I did not really want to go for the base caps, guys. I wanted to just bait them to come towards me so I can take a 1v1 with them. Now, to be honest, I was expecting this VK9 to do a little bit better of a job to kill the one-shots, but he did not kill them yet. And this I7 dropping now is a bit of a problem for him because this I7 has shots on him, and, you know, he's not really backing far up to be able to, like, avoid the I7. So right now, I'm basically forced to push this I7 here, and this I7 is being a smart player. He's just turning around, using the building against me, and I'm trying to see if I could get any shots to help this VK out. Like, I'm really looking for that one-shot Hori, but no one's really giving me any shots. I7 finally does give me a shot. We do manage to get the bounce there, but as you can see, now we're kind of in a bit of a crossfire. That Super Conk moves up, and now we literally have 4 guns basically aimed all at us. Hori does back up just in time before I'm able to kill him. And again, this VK90 just suicides a little bit. Like, he really needed to back up there, and he did not back up fast enough. And now I'm basically in a 4v1. Very difficult situation. We do get the shot on the light tank there. He is a one-shot now, which is perfect for us. But again, it is a 4v1, and the Super Conk has a very, very good position. Now, I would like to kill him, but I know the Super Conk is going to be a pretty smart player. I think he's not going to give me an easy kill. Probably if I go forward to try to shoot him, he's just going to back up. I'm going to take a free shot from the I7 and possibly the Hori as well. So what I'm going to try to do here, I've taken a couple shots from the Super Conk. I'm trying to back up here. I need to put some distance between me and the Super Conk and the rest of their team here and try to 1v1 this I7 on my own terms. Now, this I7 does a very smart play here. Look at that armor profile. I cannot pen anything in that I7 in the face hug. I literally can't pen him whatsoever, and that's another problem with the mouse here. I'm going to ignore this I7, and I'm going to go for a Hori just because of that. We do get the kill on the Hori, and he does not shoot us, which is also another huge kill here. The fact he does not shoot us. Again, I7 side hugging me perfectly. He's doing a very good job, actually, and I'm actually forced to ignore him, and I'm going to go for the Conqueror here. We do get the kill, and now it's basically this I7. We're in a 1v1. We do manage to angle our back here to get a bounce. Very lucky bounce, to be honest. You know, but the mouse, it does have a lot of rear armor. If you're able to angle it correctly, sometimes people will miss up the shot here. Now, again, I7 in the face hug, I literally can't pen this guy whatsoever, so I end up shooting HE at him to try to make him a one-shot for my Sheridan here. Now, Sheridan, I'm expecting him to get the kill here. Is he going to get it? Is he going to get it? No, he does not. He shoots somebody else for some reason. Not sure why. So now we're forced to shoot the I7 once again. We do shoot the I7, get a nice shot on his lower or upper plate there. And now we're worried more about the Hawk 12 because he has a faster reload than the I7. So we get the Hawk 12 there. Very nice kill. I7's behind a rock. We're going to try to reverse side scrape, do the same thing we did against him earlier. And the Sheridan finally comes in and kills him. Again, very, very close game. But, you know, like I wanted to show you guys this game here because the problem with the mouse is, look, it's a fantastic tank when you have a good map for it. But once you get a map that doesn't favor it, like mine, for example, again, look at the length I had to go through just to try to make my tank useful. Of course, I will not be able to go towards the middle of the map with the mouse. I'll be the most useless thing ever. So the only thing I could have done is just cap the base there and try to bait them into me. The only way I could have gotten my tank effective. And to be honest, considering how bad the map was, and, you know, it was a pretty effective way of doing it, obviously I could have capped the base straight up and, you know, just won the game by caps. But I was trying to look for damage, and I also thought my team would be a little bit, you know, survive a little bit longer, so I've been able to kill the I7 in 1v1. But the VK died a little too quick there, and, you know, it kind of made the game a little bit difficult. But again, mouse excels in a situation where you have a lot of enemies pushing it, you know. Like in that Dynasty game, in the previous game there, you guys saw how perfect the situation was when, you know, they had basically 5 tanks trying to kill me and they weren't able to even kill me, because that's how strong the mouse is in some situations, you know. If you're able to side scrape, if you're able to angle, if you're able just trading distance for time, basically, that's exactly what we did there at the very end of the game there when we were in the 4v1. We're just trading distance for time, buying as much time as we can for our Sheridan to get around, and while also dealing as much damage as we can. So overall, very nice game. although, you know, was not the best map for it. Alrighty, here's the fourth game, and in this game here we are on Canal. Again, Canal is a very medium dominated map. It is not a very good map for the mouse, but that's the reason I want to show you guys this map, is because I'm going to try my best here to make the mouse as useful as I can. Now, mouse, as you guys know, is not very good on any kind of hilly terrain. Anywhere where you need the hill, play hull down or whatever, is not a very good tank. Now, where is the one place on this map where I can, like, don't need terrain? It's right across this bridge in front of me. This bridge right here is flat ground. I'm going to be able to kind of use it side script a little bit, especially if I can get to the enemy buildings there. And I can see they're capping C, so I'm actually going to try to just cross the bridge here and try to reset the C base right away. We do see enemy VK in front of us, but we can use the crane in front of us to kind of angle away from that VK. And that's kind of what we're going to try to do here. We're going to just try to angle on the bridge. Now, I could get shot from the med side here, and what I'm doing is very risky. However, I do know that they don't really have a lot of tank destroyers, so I'm able to kind of do this a little freely. And at the same time, our team does have a pretty strong presence on D here. You can see, like, yeah, our tank is capping D, so I'm not that worried about med side shooting me. We're going to start moving up a little bit here, try to get some more shots in. Concept still in the CP cap here. We're going to try to aim in. We do miss our shot. Again, the mouse gun, guys, is not the most accurate gun ever. We do shoot underneath the tank there. You know, it wasn't anywhere where we were aiming, but it is what it is. Happens here and there. Again, though, overall, we're in a very good position here. This is, again, where the mouse excels. Where you have a building around you and you're on flat ground, this is perfect terrain for the mouse, and that's where we put ourselves in here. This concept here is in big trouble. He's not going to really be able to back off. He's basically dead anyway, so I'm actually going to start shooting the Sheridan here, because this concept cannot even escape. I know he's going to die no matter what. However, the mediums here, it's more important for me to help my team with the medium fight, so they can try to win that, or at least stall as much time as they can there. Now, I'm still in the middle of the map here. I see T92. Get the kill on him, perfect. And now we're going to start moving up a little bit, try to get some more angles, especially on that Murat there, and also the grill that's camping behind them. Or not the grill, but the E4. Murat's facing the other way, he's not paying attention. We do get a CKHE shot, and it sets him on fire and actually kills him. So overall, we've done very good as a mouse here. You know, as a very slow tank who, you know, should not really be able to do much on the med side, we've actually killed 2 of their mediums right now. So we've done a very good job just by being super aggressive and playing, you know, the mouse on terrain that favors our tank. Now all that's left here is the VK90. Again, look how red was with the AP there. It was super red, but we load the gold and we're able to pen him there. Again, mouse gun, it doesn't have the most penetration. It's something you guys got to keep in mind here. We do see the E4 aiming at us. We shoot him instead. I kind of feel like this game is basically over, so I'm kind of like letting the E5 kill the VK there. I'm going to get the kill shot on him at the very end. There we go. And now we're going to head straight to the E4. Again, this game was very quick, and it was on a map that honestly doesn't really favor the mouse, but you know, anytime you guys are on a map that doesn't favor the mouse, you just look for buildings and look for flat ground, and that's basically where you should go. There's not a whole lot of places that you can go. I obviously could not go med side with the mouse. It's going to take me years to get there. And even if I do get there, you know, it's not even favorable terrain for my kind of tank. So overall, we won the game. I'm not really going to be able to get any more damage in this eyesight here. He's completely on the other side of the map, probably going to die. Again, another downside of the mouse of being super slow. You're not really fast enough to get like last second damage at the end of the game there, but all is good. We've done very good so far, and yeah, I just want to show you that like replay for you guys at the very end there. Again, you know, not a good map for the mouse, but that's how you can capitalize the most on it, is you end up taking it to positions where it's flat ground and you can side scrape off a building. Very, you know, good use of the limited amount of, like, you know, terrain that we had that favors the mouse there. And yeah, I think we're able to do around almost 5k damage in this game. 4.8, again, 5k damage, killed 3 tanks. 2 of them were the mediums as well. You see this T92 did 0 damage. The Murat was also in a pretty horrible situation. We did shoot the Sheridan too, so we put a lot of shots into the med side while also winning the heavy side. Again, best use of the mouse you could possibly ask for basically on this map. Alright guys, we reached the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, again, make sure you smash that like button. Also make sure you guys subscribe as well if you aren't already. But yeah, I think for this video here, I did kind of want to, again, relate it back to my tier list video that I made a couple weeks ago. Now, the tier list, I think I put the mouse all the way down in D tier. It was for me like the 3rd worst tank in the game, basically. So I think that kind of came as a surprise to a lot of people, but in this video, I hope I was able to kind of explain why it's very limiting to play a mouse. First of all, again, you know, a lot of tanks can just straight up pen your upper plate, so even your armor isn't that reliable anyways, especially with how strong heat is nowadays and calibrated. And at the same time, you're super slow, you have a massive profile, and you have huge weak spots on your turrets. So anywhere where there's going to be a bit of a hill where, you know, there's going to have enemies like being able to play hull down against you, the mouse is really going to suffer, guys. Another thing as well to keep in mind is the fact that, you know, your gun shoots APCR standard. Again, very horrible like round to have to like shoot, and you're not really, or not APCR standard, but APCR premium. So that round is not really going to help your case whatsoever. And in situations where you have enemies like hull down fighting you, you're not going to be able to even pen them that much. And in the same time, even if you can't pen them, HE does not do that much damage anyways, because it's not, this gun is pretty small. It's only a 460 alpha gun, so HE really doesn't do the most amount of damage. It's not like an E100 where you can just splash a guy who's held down for like 400 or something. But yeah, other than that, those are my reasons for the mouse being super low on my tier list. If you guys want to check that out, it is going to be linked at the top right now. And as well, if you guys want to look at any other guides for any of the other tanks I'm doing, again, it's going to be linked in the playlist will be linked in the top left. I highly recommend you guys check that out if you guys want some more knowledge about the game and some of the other tanks in tier 10. Overall, I'm going to have more videos coming up for, just general guides and stuff for all tier 10 tanks. That's kind of my goal. But I hope you guys enjoy it. And again, if you do, make sure you smash that like button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.